Hey, this is the Sword and the Pen Reflections. It is my third ever live stream, which we are going to be calling the Wheel of Crime instead of the Wheel of Sin, which is what I announced it to be. Before anything else, I need to know that you all can hear me and if it sounds okay. So just give me a thumbs up if it seems like the sound is about even with what my audio was immediately before this. Or if it's like a little too loud, I can turn it down a smidge. But before we get going, I just want to go over my 3 little rules. The first one is I want to keep it tame, around PG-13 or more tame. Just pretend that your grandma is listening. That way I can monetize this video. The next one is tag me to address me. So I'll have subjects for certain blocks during this live stream. Sound is perfect. Great. Okay. And if you want to address me specifically, because I might skip over some of the messages if there's too many for me to keep up with, just use like what it says at the top of the chat, which is address me directly by adding @the Sword and the Pen Reflections to your comment. No spaces in that, just @the Sword and the Pen Reflections. I know it's long, might deter some people, but maybe that's a good thing. And number 3, tell me if I am messing up. So I cannot hear myself. I'm basically just listening for anything that's out of the ordinary. But if you can't hear me or it glitches or something, or my chat window disappears from the corner, say something because I won't be able to see it. But anyway, so we're going to start out with a freestyle chat for about 10 minutes, going up until, on my end, 5:10. So let's go ahead and move us along to that.
Move along. Move along.
Okay, one of my rules was still stuck up there. The freestyle chat. So you can go ahead and ask anything, talk about anything. I'm going to try and catch up on everybody. Looks like I have some sort of warning saying that my stream speed is really slow. I hope that's not true. All right, from the top, I got Okie Native. Food, what kind? Oh, we were talking about that. Yep, you got bacon and some deli meat and stuff. Yep. Benjamin McDonald says, hello, hello. Cursed Kelpie, hello. Benjamin McDonald again. I'm glad I got here early. Missed the last 2 live. Wasn't going to miss this time. Sick day. Oh, nice. Sorry you're sick, but great to have you here. Benjamin says it begins. Space Oyster. Hello. Alan Bird. Live. Yes, we are. Benjamin again. Hello, all. Robert Cabus. Evening. Good to have you here again. Patrick Marchand. Tell me if I pronounce that right. I think it's Marchand or Marchand. Time for a coffee. I took a signature 5-hour energy right before. I just did a live stream with Geeky Old Hog right before jumping onto this one. Like I went straight from that to this. Biba Boba? Biba Boba? Ready to listen to some good opinions. Oh, I hope they're good opinions. I try to have my best opinion. Alan Bird. Good idea, Patrick. I'll go make some. Ah, yes. Can go make some bacon. Space Oyster. This song is catchy. I think it was... I can't remember which one it is. I think I just typed in like lo-fi Asian or something like that. I wanted something that was kind of serene, but also had a bit of a beat to it, you know? Bill McAwesome. So glad someone is tackling this hellscape of a show. Yeah, I've been slowly tackling it line by line. Gingerbearded Geek. I've stayed up till 1 a.m. just to say hello, Gingerbearded Geek. Wow, thank you for being here. You're often, I might be mistaking you for somebody else, but you're in Scotland, aren't you? I might be stereotyping because of the ginger beard. Benjamin McDonald. I'm here for it. All right. Mr. Zip. Hello. Louise Exparrow. I hope I said that right. Robert Cabus, volume seems good. Curse Kelpie, I can hear you. Prototype says sounds great to me. Bill McAwesome, don't forget to like all. Oh, thank you. X525 Crossfire. I'll just call it Crossfire. Wheel of Sin did sound a little too porn parody. I kind of like realized that after I'd said it, and I was like, I'm not going to record it. So yeah, it does get kind of BDSM-y in that little incident with Landfear, so kind of fits. Alan Bird, it sounds good. Nice. Charles Halverson, hey! Sound is perfect. Chris Palmer, you sound good, thank you. William Jones, I can hear you. Prototype says we're good. Darkwing Duck, I almost started singing the theme song. George Krantz, everybody's saying it looks good. Spaced Oyster, I think I called you Space Oyster before. That D is going to elude me every time, I just know it. Benjamin McDonald sounds good here. Dane Bornhold, hey, how's it going? I promise I have, I've got it on the list of stuff to do, the Henry chapters. Biba Boba, sounds great. Chris Palmer, how can they call it an adaptation when it's not even trying? I know, it's definitely not. And there's, on Twitter, I know that Rafe seems to come out every once in a while and say like, oh no, the next season is going to be even more like closely following the books. And then of course we got season 2 and we're like, which book? Because well, I'd say about 70% of it was made up. The stuff with Egwene was good. Like they did that, except the ending. Oh my gosh. Then the ending destroyed everything. So Spaced Oyster. Oh, yep. How far have you gotten into Wheel of Time? I'm in the middle of book 4, and I was supposed to catch up this week, but I unexpectedly had to take care of my niece again, and it pretty much commandeered my whole day every day this week. Cursed Kelpie, the Sword and the Pen Reflections. Are you enjoying the Silmarillion? I missed the last stream, unfortunately. So I actually forgot about the Silmarillion and didn't listen to it, but no, I'm going to for sure. It has become like I'm going to listen to this in the shower. I was trying to catch up on some other stuff, unfortunately, the last couple times I showered. Gosh, it's so weird. Like, you guys are now all up to date on my shower schedule, so I showered twice since the last time I've seen you all. Robert Cabus, Chris Palmer. Oh, that's not for me. Somebody saying hi. Louise X Sparrow saying hello to Dane Bornhall. Tiki Dale, hey, you've been around forever, Tiki Dale. Happy Friday, glad to be back. Got 2 more minutes here. George Krantz. Hi, I'm a big Wheel of Time fan, book fan. Nice, good to have you here, George. GH, been a while. Looking forward to the review. Yeah, my next one is I had a setback. Dane Boardhold says, hello, Louise. Chris Palmer, fair point, Robert. It would make more sense to say reimagining or some other nonsense. It certainly would make more sense to call it that. All right, I'm going to skip ahead to the ones that just have me tagged. I don't know why I can't see the ones that have tagged me. There are no beginnings or no endings to the pain of bad adaptations, but Wheel of Time was a beginning. Yeah, it certainly was. Oh my goodness, it's really disgraceful that they even dare to call it an adaptation at this point, because it seems like there are so many choices being made that are intentionally there to do what the book did, do things that the book did not do. I don't know if I'm saying this as well as I could, but essentially it feels like they're trying to counter what the books did. William Jones says, I thought about trying my hand again on a YouTube video. I thought about what would I do if I were a Wheel of Time showrunner? Opinions on something like this. I think that's a great idea. See, I think that when we do videos critiquing stuff that's already out there, I always miss when people don't include the this is what I would do. Like, that's my favorite thing to hear when somebody says, I would have done it this way. I try to do that in my videos whenever I think of it, but I think it's a fun thing to do, because then you get to see like what were like some average Joe or Jane on the internet, what could they have thought of that would have been better? And most of the time when it's a really crappy show, I'm going, yep, this would have been way better. Check out Hello Future Me's rewrite of the ending of Game of Thrones. It's very good. Prototype says, do you have a favorite fantasy series? I have so many favorites. So if you go to my other channel, I say that I can't give a favorite. When somebody asks me what's your favorite, I can tell you what my favorite is at the time. Right now, actually, I was kind of mourning the Lord of the Rings being missing from the Rings of Power, if that makes sense. I've had this craving to go back and read the Rings of Power, or the Lord of the Rings, but I should just jump into the Silmarillion and just stick with that. I spent a lot of my free time this week catching up on stuff to talk about on Geeky Old Hog, the podcast I was just on. All right, I'm going to spend one more minute going over everything here. I'm Yorkshire-based, Northern England, the county of Sean Bean. Or country, was it county? Okay, county of Sean Bean. I've got somebody who is subscribed to my channel, and they're in Scotland, and they keep on saying, like, I can never make it to your stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry. Patrick Marchand. It's pronounced Marchand. Okay, the D is silent. It's a French thing. Canadian from Quebec. Hey! All right, so I'm going to remember this. Marchand. Is it Marchand? Marchand. Oh, you said the D is silent. Marchand. Got it. I've got it. All right, skipping ahead. William Jones. Or you trying something like this as an experiment. I see a lot of hate, but not how they would do it. I think, oh, yes, you were the one who wanted to know about what you could do on your video. I think that it would be good to do something unique like that. Like, this is how I would do it. So we go ahead and critique, but then offer, but I would have done this. Let's see. Slick Jack, given how much the show has departed from the books, how can it be repaired? It can't. At this point, I'm convinced that they have no choice but to start every season doing what they did at the beginning of season 2, which is where they just pretend that the stuff they did in season 1 didn't happen. Which is such a weird way to do a show. Like, it's so ridiculous. Hey, Daniel Heron, $2. Thank you so much. Why is it not selecting? Oh, it is. There we go. Oh my gosh, I'm still so far behind. Okay, I'm skipping. I got to try and get as many of you guys in there before I move on to the next subject. Okay, skipping ahead. Stan Sodonen? I'm not sure what that one, I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. Hi, I hated the books, but that's neither here nor there. Your review of the show was very insightful, so here I am. Nice, good to have you here. Like, it's funny, I've had a couple people who've been commenting lately saying, like, I didn't enjoy the books, but, you know, I like looking at the reviews of the show, and I had one person who was saying that they hated the show and the books, and I was like, but they recognized that the books had something. Like, they were there for somebody. They do have something to them that people enjoy. And I think that's to be able to recognize that something is good, even if it's not for you, is a sign of I think, of maturity as a critic. Sizer, they gave it the World War Z treatment, $10. Thank you. World War Z. Okay, so I have not seen the movie World War Z, but I do know it was based off of a book. I never heard that it was a poorly done adaptation, although I'm not surprised. Certainly not surprised. Okay, we're going to have to stop here and zing ahead. Oh, I got one more person who said me. Oh, no, 2 more people. Robert Cabus. After seeing what they've done to Wheel of Time, I really hope they don't try to adapt any other series I love, such as the Dragon Riders of Pern. Oh, okay. Yeah, like, I know... It's honestly, I think that we're a long ways away from seeing a good adaptation again. We got Dune, but I feel like that was so much under Denis Villeneuve's control that that's what it's going to take. It's going to take enough people who like have 100% control over the project that that really do want to be faithful. Like Peter Jackson, he was spearheading this. I want to do an adaptation that is Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Like, it shouldn't be my story, it should be his story. And any changes we have to make sure that they are serving the original themes and the original story. All right, last one. Augustine, watched all of your reviews of the TV series, quit watching the series itself into episode 4. You've done a better job than the bloated money monstrosity. Thank you very much. Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that we're seeing, especially from season 1, we saw a draft that wasn't really edited all that much. I mean, it really felt like that. Like, reviewing it, I was like, this is the kind of stuff that I see in first drafts from people who submit their manuscripts to me. And I'm going like, oh, these are little mistakes. You know, everybody does these in their first draft. And I'm like watching this show that was so expensive going, why are you making the same mistakes that I see in first drafts? Okay. All right, I'm all caught up. Okay. Let's go ahead and really quickly, before I get too caught up in anything else, we're gonna move along.
Move along. Move along.
Okay, so, when I gotta unclick somebody here. Where are we? This person, Augustine. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about are the forgivable errors, the flaws that we can look at in the show. I'm just talking about the show only. What are some things that we were kind of okay with them doing, even though it wasn't all that great? Like, we just kind of like, whatever, okay, I can sort of just live with that. I just want to do this for a couple of minutes. I don't want to focus on this one too much. But for me, some of the stuff that I thought was forgivable was having the kids, first of all, be older and a little bit more experienced in the world. I felt like that was the right decision. What I had trouble with was the experiences that they gave them. For instance, Rand and Egwene hooking up, and Matt obviously being some sort of a gambling addict, and Perrin having a wife and then killing her. I mean, that was a big one right there. But I think it was smart to make them older because they have to be much more mature by the time we get to the end of the story. Also, just having them being so young, it's going to feel weird when you have certain themes introduced that younger people maybe aren't quite ready for, or they won't really understand the depth of it. So I was okay with them being a little bit older. I just didn't like that their experience level was so high. Like, you can be rather naive and sheltered at an older age when you live in an isolated place like the Two Rivers. Let's see what some people are saying here. Skipping ahead. Don't forget, if you want to address me directly, you got to use my name. Okay, so people have already, they're not doing that anymore. So let's see. Sharon C., thank you so much for the $5. As you're in 4, that's the book, I can see how changing the girls' motivations would vastly change their actions and duty in 4. Rand encountering Aiel, so good. Rand encountering Aiel, especially older, so good. Okay, so here's my thing, because by the beginning of book 4, the girls are on like their own mission, and they have like a very specific thing that they're doing. And I'm looking at the show going, we're done with season 2. What book did they finished off book 2 with season 2's ending. And what are you guys going to do about the end of book 3? And I'm just really curious as to how they're going to catch up the live action to where the books should be right about now. Because supposedly they're compressing stuff. And I'm like, but Not really. I mean, you've spent a season on a book. Like the finale for season 1 was the finale of book 1. The finale of season 2 was the finale of book 2. I just don't know how I mean, what are they going to do? 14 seasons? I don't think so. So they're going to have to skip or compress a lot. I wonder if they're going to cut out the Sword of Camelin. Or the Sword of... Did I say that right? Let me see, I'm going down here. All right, here we go. Dane Bornhold says, they made the characters older, but less mature. No, I would say that's a hard thing to judge, whether they're less mature or not. Well, Moraine definitely is, but as far as the kids go, it just seems like they're dealing with very teeny boppery type stuff. It's YA romance drama, but then again they put in like Perrin killed his wife and then they just forget that happened. It's a weird balance, and they were unable to balance, I think, is the key here. Next one. I hope I didn't skip anybody. I'm trying not to skip folks. Trip. Hey Trip, how's it going? Says they matured the kids emotionally, but Egwene was really the only one biologically older. Yeah, she was supposed to be the youngest in the bunch, I think. But no matter what, just giving them more experience in the world made them feel so much older too. And that just, it felt like it was a bad choice. Like you can have, because I think all the actors are in their 20s, and I don't think they're in their 20s in the book. I think that they're like 18, 19, something like that, and then Egwene is younger. But you can have naivete even at age 20, and it still works. Robert Cabus says, but you have issues with making them older. They're from an isolated agrarian society. It would be culturally odd for them to be unmarried at that age. It might. I mean, I suppose you could say that this is a different world, so they could be older, but not, people don't get married until they're a little bit older at that point. But then you would kind of need to say, all right, medicine has to have gone a certain distance, because people get married when they're young, I think, in these older societies, because of medical access. So, dying in childbirth is common. You want to have young women having babies, so that way they've got the strength to have the babies and then raise the babies too. And then people dying off when they get older because of, injuries or diseases and things. Spaced Oyster, I guess killing off Uno is forgivable for me since they can't ruin his character much. So I thought, I actually liked Uno. He was one of my favorite characters in the first season. They kill him off, and then they resurrect him, and then they kill him off again. It was one of the weirdest choices ever. Augustine says, I could have forgiven the rearrangement of the speech, even though it was clear the showrunners didn't understand why it was placed where it was. I think you're talking about Moraine's speech in the Two Rivers. I believe that's what you're talking about. I think they didn't really even have it in this. She's just whispering to the kids, telling them, like, hey, one of you is a dragon, you got to come with me right now. And then Rand's dad is like, yeah, go. Mr. Benair, oh, thank you for the $5. Good morning. I do like most of the casting. Rand looks the part so well. Perrin having a wife was just weird. Yeah, so casting, it's one of these things where I think a lot of book characters need to be cast older in live action, because for some reason we have this tendency as writers to make the characters more mature than they would be at that particular age, or we give them bigger challenges than somebody their age would be ready for. Like, I thought it was very daring that they cast kids the same age as the Harry Potter characters. And of course their acting ability didn't really kick in until like the third movie, so... William Jones, I kind of disagree with the Forgivable casting. They could have pulled a Tom Holland and cast actors 19 to 21 who looked young. Oh, that's true too. Let's see, I think The thing I didn't like was that Nynaeve looks like she's the same age as everybody else. That was my biggest issue, and I think it was Matt especially. His actor in season 1 looked the most mature in my opinion. I thought he looked far too old, but it's also just the way that they did his makeup and presentation. Let's see. I want to make sure that I'm keeping on schedule. Oh, okay. We want to do just a couple more minutes and then we go on to the next subject. Why did I did my times wrong on this? 5:30. Yes. Okay. Actually, no. We go to the next subject right now before I forget. So we're gonna stop and we're going to move along.
Move along. Move along.
Okay. We've done the forgivable errors. Now we are on to what were the flaws that absolutely were unforgivable. And we're going to have a question like this later on, but it's more just about like what what was so bad. Well, we'll talk about it when we get to it. We're just going to talk about what flaws were unforgivable. So let me catch up here. We got Robert Cabus saying, I think you meant Calendar. Yes, the names, I get them mixed up all the time, but yes, I meant Calendar. Yep. Oh, you mean spoilers, Calendar in the Stone of Tear. Yes, that's the one I meant. Yeah. Oh gosh, all these people correcting me. I'm sorry. Trip was correcting me. Elmarby. I'm not sure how to say that. The thing about forgiving flaws is that they require some credit to be built up. The show never earned any with me. This is true. But sometimes I think it's good to know, like if I ask that question because I want to know when you're the writer of the show and you have to make changes, you sometimes need a little bit of leeway knowing like, okay, this is not the most perfect change in the whole world, but I kind of have to do this. So what could I do that would be forgivable to the audience, the fans who really love the book? So, you know, just trying to gauge that. We got kind of focused on the age thing. Trevor Lorne says, I didn't like the fact that the showrunner never acknowledged that the One Power has two different sides, Saidin and Saidar. That was a big problem for me too. I was literally in, like, right at the very beginning, basically, I realized they're not having any distinction between the two. I don't know if people who watch the show even know that there are two sides. I think they think that there's one. It's just the One Power and the men corrupt it, which is going to have consequences. Like, if you're going to have to, in season 3, explain what that is, like what's going on, it's going to be a little awkward. Crossfire says, what's weird about that is that they said they aged up the 5 deliberately to avoid those YA dramas. They added so much of the YA drama, though. That's so ridiculous. William Jones, I feel something is missing by not casting age appropriate since they grow over the course of books. I can see that too, but my concern then becomes, are they mature enough to do this part? You know, can this actor handle this particular role and what they have to do? I think like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Netflix version, some of those kids, especially the kid who plays Aang and the girl who plays Katara, they were too young. I mean, they're fine for their age, but I think that their parts had a little bit more weight than they were prepared to do. But I think they'll be fine come the next season. I think they'll grow into it really easily. Jeff Turner. Hey, Jeff, how's it going? Another one of my high-tier patrons. Skipping Berleon, or isn't it Berleon? Berlin? Okay, I think I'm remembering the name wrong. Is about my only thing I can accept. Yeah, I think that was a good choice to skip Berleon, but I missed Moraine being a giant. That would have been awesome. Benjamin McDonald. I can forgive losing Rand as the main point of view and add the scene of attack to Emond's Field, but hated adding more dragons just to make more mystery of who's the dragon drama. Yeah, that creates so many weird loopholes that could have been exploited. Like, why don't we just kill Rand and then we'll have a girl dragon next time, hopefully. And if we don't, we'll just kill that one too. Augustine, the Manetheren speech. Sorry, yeah. I think we're thinking about the same one, aren't we? It's when Moraine gives the Manetheren speech in the Two Rivers. Sir Blaze says, well, they're probably going to resurrect him again for the next couple books. You're talking about, what's his name? Uno. Maybe. I know he's supposed to be in the book all the way to the end. He doesn't die, does he? That's what I heard. I think Brandon Sanderson said that. All right, skipping ahead to Sir Blaze again. Remember, if you want to address me directly, you got to include the Up there, the sign that up there that says include my tag, my channel tag. Sir Blaze says, Nynaeve was only about 5 years older than Rand, who's about 20, but the Wheel of Crime made many a mistake. Yeah. I still felt like I could hardly tell the difference between the two of them. Honestly, I would not have been able to if I didn't know going in that she's supposed to be older. I would have thought she was the same age as everybody else. Also because she looks so freaking immature or behaves so immaturely. And not having her seem to hate that she's so impulsive is, I think that's a bad idea. They should have shown that part of her. Gail Tempest says, honestly felt an adaptation should have made them younger than the books to retain the tone. I'm not sure I understand that one, because I've always felt like the tone in the first book, not the Great Hunt. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the name of the first book? It is the Great Hunt. No, it's not. My brain is frozen right now. The first book is, I felt like it's got a very serious tone. You get to the end of that and you have a whole people who their entire existence is about preventing evil from spreading beyond a certain border, and they're willing to sacrifice themselves. Like, these are pretty mature themes. I feel like and the characters are aware of this. So I don't know if I feel like younger kids would still be able to, if younger kids and innocence would be appropriate. I mean, exposure to the world, but that can be done through naivete, like when they come out and they're experiencing the greater wide world for the first time. You can just have an older character who's naive, and it still plays off around the same. Pratersin says, the character assassination of Abel Cawthon. Oh yeah, they turned him into a cheating drunk, I guess. Oh, well, the mom's drunk. The dad is just a cheater. I don't know what they're going to do with that, because maybe they're just going to have different characters for when Perrin goes back to the Two Rivers. I don't know. Berserker, that one. The character assassinations, especially Matt and Perrin. Yeah. I think for me, Matt was the greatest change in his character, but for Perrin, they did the weirdest thing. To have him have a wife, and then he kills her, and then what? Nothing? That's just something that he brings up every once in a while so that we feel bad for him, I guess. Can I save everything? Too much. Oh, can you say everything? I think you meant, can I say everything? That was from Chris Palmer. All right, Slick Jack says, unforgivable errors. Oh, I'm guessing you've got a whole bunch that you're listing. Robert Cabus says, by giving Nynaeve essentially the same backstory as Rand simply diminishes Rand's character and uniqueness, and it happens in episode 1. I never thought of that. But yeah, they did give his backstory to Nynaeve. What are they going to do with that? That's weird. What a weird choice. This is the first time I'm thinking about that. Thank you for pointing that out to me, Robert Cabus. Like, what are they doing? Why would you do that? I mean, that would have been the big hint. I guess it was to deflect our suspicion that Rand is the dragon to it could be Nynaeve, because otherwise there's no reason for us to think it could be her, except that she has this awesome power. That should have been enough. That's so weird. That's so weird. Cursed Kelpie. The love triangles, plural, with Lan and resurrected characters that we just killed off again. Was there a love triangle with Lan? I didn't feel like they had Lan in love with Moiraine. It was just Nynaeve. And the resurrected characters that we just killed off again. Yeah, that was really weird. Like, okay, so it was pointed out to me that the guy who is Ingtar in season 2 is not supposed to be the same guy who died in season 1. That was a different character. But that was a retroactive change in the credits. Like, that was supposed to be Ingtar, but they decided this actor can't come back, so we're killing him off, and we're just going to say in the credits, since nobody said his name aloud, that he's not Ingtar. Augustine, the jokes they made in the episodes. Yes, the first episode was bringing down the house. Bringing down the house. Wait, did I miss that? Did somebody say bringing down the house? Oh my gosh, did somebody say that? Trip. Unforgivable error. Lack of continuity with their own changes in the lore. Example, channeling and oaths. Yeah, there's a lot of that. That's really frustrating to me. It shows just a lack of care for putting out a product that is of quality. That's just the easiest way to say it. I mentioned this on the Hogcast about 2 hours ago, that I feel like people who are writing science fiction and fantasy shows today, like the streamable shows that we're seeing, I feel like they've been writing contemporary shows before this. Like that was what they were doing, because a lot of the language that we're hearing is aimed very much at a contemporary audience. We're seeing characters that are all kind of bland, and that is more common in contemporary fiction than you would find in science fiction or fantasy. Like fantasy, you see the archetypes. They're in just about every story that's known for having excellent characters has a really diverse group of people, and I mean diversity in personality. Like they clash, you know. You'll have to watch the Geeky Old Hogs stream to get the whole gist on that. But something that I was thinking was so these writers who are doing contemporary work come into science fiction and fantasy to do a show, treating it like they would a sitcom. And the problem is that people watching fantasy, especially science fiction, but fantasy too, we really know and love the material. Like if we just wanted human drama, we would go watch a contemporary show. But we want this fantasy because not only do you get the cool special effects and the visuals, yeah, that's fine, but we also get a complex world and people who are limited to writing interesting scenarios in a complex world where there are specific magic rules. And, you know, like the Three Oaths, for instance, you can never have Moraine using the one power as a weapon or to make a weapon. These are rules that we want to see they manage to work around and still do it in a very satisfying way. When they don't, it just looks like they're like, it's just a bunch of, nerds, they're geeks, they don't care. We're just going to write anything, and like they just want the cool special effects and the neat costumes, right? No, we don't read science fiction and fantasy for cool special effects and costumes. They don't exist there. We read them for the content, for the things that are spelled out to us about the world and about the characters and about the magic. These things. We want to see that people are challenging themselves, and they're just not doing it. Okay, I rambled too much on that one. Let's see. Chris Saunders. The show could have done something better than the books. Egwene using a single thread is a good setup for the end of book 2, but they forgot they set it up. Egwene using a single thread. Are you talking about when she was with when she was trapped with Perrin and she did like the one thing to cut the rope? Is that what you're talking about? The like fire? Or are you talking about when she was with Moraine and she was learning how to channel with the little stone? I'm not sure what that one references. But yeah, the thing is, yeah, that's another weird thing. They suddenly had her able to make a shield. Was she able to do? We didn't see her learn how to make a shield, right? I'm pretty sure we didn't. And then Perrin has a shield for some reason. Book of Scrawls. The dragon and being the dragon isn't nearly as terrifying as it should be. I don't think that they've even explained that the dragon is like, he can destroy the world, or he can... They sort of did it in the finale of season 1, but that's a bit late to do it. They were focusing too much on trying to distract us from knowing who the dragon is. And then in the end, they didn't even give any clues until it was literally the end of the season. So we couldn't have figured it out. I can keep it... Oh, Chris Palmer says, I can keep it simple. Making Rand the secondary character and not the main character. Yes, that's a big mistake. It should have been a completely different show if we were just going to have it be Moraine. Like the dragon character, the dragon and Matt and Perrin and Egwene and Nynaeve, all of them, they should be like way off in the background, and we have to invent an entirely new drama for Moraine. But they didn't do that. They decided to also include the kids as a bigger character and as bigger characters, but they weren't the main characters. It's bizarre. I'm not sure what they were thinking. Spaced Oyster. The biggest problem is probably with Moraine. They're so careless with her dialogue that she's lied at least once. She loves to claim she can't. Yeah, that's true. She keeps on saying it, but I think this is one of those cases where they're like, just say that she can't, and we'll leave the rules vague enough so that we can always say, well, that there is a loophole if you say that she believes that what she's saying is true, so that counts. Like, but how can you? To me, it's like, so you can immediately force yourself to believe something that isn't true. Is that I get that impression a lot, like they're trying to say that, and I'm like, then what's the point of the oath if you can convince yourself that a lie is true? There's no point to the oath if that's the case. Augustine. Another joke was crazy cultist Nynaeve and the ridiculous sacred pool just so they could have her murder a Trolloc in it. They cut a scene out that was supposed to take place in there. Like, I don't know if you guys remember in the teaser, Egwene rises up out of the pool, and she's got the paint colors all over her, from the different Ajas all over her. I was disappointed that they cut that out because I actually thought that looked cool. I mean, I don't care if it meant anything in the story, honestly. I just thought it looked good, and I was like, oh, they never had that. Patrick Marchand says, not having the battle in the sky at the end of season 2. Yes, that's kind of like the giant Moraine thing. I wanted to see that. I thought that would have looked so neat. In the end, I was like, how is this different from what we saw down in the courtyard? It wasn't. Tiki Dale. Rand and Egwene hooking up at the start in the common room in the inn or the tavern was unforgivable. Yeah, anybody could have walked in. I guess this is a sexually liberated town. Oh, Augustine. The absolute mutilation of Nynaeve and Lan's romance was genuinely infuriating. They had an opportunity to do it better, but they didn't. And I don't understand that at all. Okay, I'm going to lose some chat here if I don't catch up. Sorry. I just lost chat. Shoot, I was too slow. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have lost some of you guys. Where are we? Okay, I've read that one. The contemporary language. Nope, I think I've already read that one. The show change, stilling. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. I'm really far behind. I've got to skip a few guys. I was not expecting so many people to come to this one. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm at Gail Tempest saying, Moraine as protagonist is a really bad decision. Yep, it's a plot-dense series and the focus on a character that doesn't matter much. Yeah, no kidding. I definitely agree with that one. Dane Bornhold says the unforgivable sins are subversion of themes, gender complementarianism. Oh, I read that right in the first time. Character, like Lan crying. The world, a female dragon. Yeah, plot. Valda sees them twice. Yeah, that was weird. And pacing, snore. Yeah, I gotta agree. There was a lot there. Joshua Templeton, one unforgivable aspect was the woman's circle pushing girls off cliffs into a river, a place with no idea. Yeah, okay, that really was, I don't know why that didn't bother more people. It bothered me. I was like, how many girls survive this tradition? Like, let's see. Oh, we are almost running into needing the next thing. Okay, I'm so far behind. I gotta just zing through these. I'm just gonna read them out. The age of the group was almost 20 years old. The biggest issue was they made them too worldly. Yeah, I agree. I don't even think that the problem was that their age was bad. I think it was that they were too experienced. Prototype says, adding more dragons to increase the mystery of who's the dragon reminds me so much of who's Sauron mystery from Rings of Power. It does. Seems like people think that's a real big draw to these stories. It's not. We like to see a world that is interesting and characters that are compelling. Luis Expero says, the sword in the I found what they did to Lan and Nynaeve's relationship unforgivable. Yeah, they had the opportunity to fix it, but instead they made it worse. Like that's so ridiculous, honestly. There's no excuse for that. Romance is so easy. Augustine, destroying Moraine's character as someone competent who used her power skillfully and capably and knew what she was doing, became a barely capable neophyte. Yeah, I can agree with that. I just don't like Moraine at all in the show. Like, I do not like, I am irritated by her presence on the screen, and I was perfectly willing to be, this to be one of my characters that I really enjoy. But by season 2, I was like, no, thank you. You're done. The entire Tar Valon portion of season 1 could have been removed and replaced with Camelin, and it wouldn't have affected the story. Oh my gosh, that's so right. Joshua Templeton, taking away Uno's cussing is unforgivable. Well, yeah, they didn't use the the colloquialisms of the Wheel of Time world. They've been using contemporary cussing, which is weird. Why wouldn't you? I mean, do you remember in Battlestar Galactica we had fracking, which I always thought was silly, but it worked. It gave the show a feel, and like in this case, Robert Jordan has written his own colloquialisms. I can't forgive and expletives. I can't forgive relying on the books to fill in their gaps for some things, but the show didn't follow the books enough so that you don't know when to fill in or not. I think I understand what you mean there, Benjamin. It seems like they're doing weird things in the show. Like you should be compressing the books, and instead in the show they're like adding stuff that's not in the books, and it's screwing up the pacing quite a bit. It's really baffling. Who makes these decisions? Okay, I think I have to. Okay, Slick Jack. I'm not going to catch up to all of you guys. I'm going to have to start skipping a bunch of people. Forgivable did not include Tom as one of the EF party, Edmondsfield party, and the impact he has counterweighting Moraine in The Eye of the World. That's the name of the book, The Eye of the World. I don't know why it escaped me. Yeah, they definitely cut his character down to basically nothing. The impact of realizing he's still alive is going to be gone because we barely knew him anyway. Have you read The Assault on the Boar yet? The Assault on the Boar? No, because that's not ringing a bell for me. I'm in the middle of book 4. I think it was okay. Jeff Turner. It feels like such a flaw that they focused on Leandrin as the supervillain and spent so little time developing the malevolence of the Dark One. Yeah, the Dark One only appeared in like, what, 2 or 3 dreams? What the hell? I mean, I wasn't scared of him. Travis James, The Sword and the Pen. Do you think authors are paying attention to all these bad adaptations, maybe keeping more control of what they change? Love your videos. Thank you, Travis. I don't know about that. I think that they're probably offered a really big check, and if you're told you can't be involved in it, but we will pay you this huge amount of money, got to be hard to say no. Like, I don't want the money if I can't have total control. I don't think I would be able to do that. I'd be like, nah, you'll just ruin it and make my book look bad. Benjamin McDonald says, the show changed stilling and being tied off the warder bond and the magic system. Everyone should have gone to the Eye of the World, including a recast Matt. Yeah, they should have recast him. I know I said it in my video, but there's no excuse. They could have taken some techie off of the production set and said, we need you to stand in for 1-2 episodes as our Matt, because taking him out screwed up so much of the story. Now look what they're doing in season 2 with him. Like, where is he? He's had the most pointless storyline in season 2. Sir Blaze. The fact that Nynaeve was 5 years older when the dragon was born and yet was still treated like a possible dragon, they should have known right away. Like, I thought you saw a prophecy that said he was being born at a certain time and she's older, so... having no men fighting on the attack at Two Rivers undermines Moraine's speech in episode 2, as well as the themes of the series. Yeah. They've definitely lost the plot on there being 2 sides to the coin. Like, there's definitely supposed to be a message here about men and women working together, and they're giving too much emphasis to the women, so to the point that it feels like everything that was supposed to be going to the men is going to the women now. Now it's like they flipped it. I think they were trying to balance it a little bit more because you only had the dragons, as the boys, and they're like, well, we got to give more stuff to the girls, and the girls do interesting stuff. You can play that up a little bit better, but don't take away the stuff from the guys and give it to the girls. Then it makes everything so confusing. The contemporary language is probably meant to make these fantasy characters relatable to the audience. At least that's what I imagine the writers believe. Yeah, I don't like it. Let's see. Something I think they did interesting in the show, but gives no real backstory for, is that apparently during season 1, you can see Fane lurking in the background. Yeah, you can, but only if you go back and look, pause and look. I think I saw him in Tarvalon. I can't remember where I saw him. I saw him a couple times and I was like, whatever. They're doing, for me, it was obvious that he's a bigger character, especially in the show. Like, they gave it away pretty hard in the show, where you can definitely see he was a bad guy and he knew the Trollocs were coming. In the book, you didn't really know at all until you're like, hey, I saw Pat and Fane. Like, what? Bill McAwesome. I think a major problem is they don't seem to be writing with any thought for the future. Almost like they're writing a serial. It reminds me of CW style writing. Yeah, same here. I've made that note a couple times, I think, during my videos, where I feel like this show is no better than any of the old sci-fi TV shows. It's probably worse than some of those as far as the continuity is concerned. It's just got a bigger budget. That's it. Benjamin McDonald. Can't forgive killing Loyal, but I do forgive them bringing him back. Allah, the first season was a dream. Yeah, so weird. They've made some truly bizarre choices. Pink Peonies, $10. Thank you so much. I don't know if you guys pick those stickers, but they always crack me up. Sir Blaze, The Sword and the Pen Reflections. I think the final episode of season 2 was unforgivable. Like the three-way battle with the White Cloaks, the Heroes of the Horn, and the Shan Chan. Everything that took place on that tower, and there was so much actually that happened during that final battle scene. It was just ridiculous. The whole thing with Nynaeve absorbing the arrow, and oh my gosh, I can't imagine. So I know for season 1, there was the big excuse of like, oh, it was COVID and we lost one of our actors and we couldn't use our sets and we had to delay. And so we had to change the ending. Everybody was saying that. And I'm going, I still don't buy that. I didn't buy it at all. And I think that the finale of season 2 proved to me that what they did was far more intentional than people were willing to believe. Ave Dementia. Unforgivable was Lanfear, pushing her as only a seductress without hinting at Lews Theron's growth, turning towards Lyanna, and Marin's deep dive into the dark. I think you're touching on stuff that I'm not quite aware of, but I didn't like that we didn't see Lanfear pushing him to like take power. Like that was a more, even though to me, and I think to most readers, is probably obvious when we were in the portals. We were in the portal way or whatever, and they first meet Lanfear as Selene. I knew she was a bad guy, but I could believe that what she was doing to tempt Rand, like I could believe that he would fall for it as a naive young man who's not thinking with his brain, but, you know, other parts of his body. I could believe that. And because what she was doing was subtle enough, but it was obvious to me, if that makes sense. But in the show, I didn't see her doing that really at all. I mean, there was like one time where they were in bed together and she was like, show me. I'm like, what? Show you what? You want him to explode you? That could be taken in many ways. All right. Joshua Templeton. Removing Rand's ability to see the Dark One's taint in the eye of the world cripples the character, will make him appear as a psycho killer later on. Really? Okay, but I thought we could see the taint, right? Okay. I'm not recalling if he didn't see it himself. Oh, I'm almost caught up. Hooray! Crossfire says, isn't convincing yourself that your own lie is true a sign of some personality disorder? Yeah, I think so. What would that even be? Just compulsive lying? I don't know. Slick Jack. They did create a plot for Moiraine, her inability to channel through nearly all of season 2. Got to have a juicy plot for our leading lady. But the thing is, they never really explained or made clear what was going on. Like in episode, is it 5 or 6? I can't remember where it is, but we kind of get her finally saying, I've been stilled. But the whole time Lan is going, I don't believe it. I don't think so. So they're not really solidifying anything here. And they carried it on so long that as an audience member, I was getting confused going, what are they trying to say here about Moiraine? And in the end, she's just shielded and tied off. And it felt like a plot convenience. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pause this though now. And we're going to move on to the next subject. And I'm not going to do my little transition. We'll just that. Okay. Oh, wait, actually, I think it's time for a break, isn't it? 5:50. No, we got 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes before the next break. So I'm not going to start us up on our next subject. I'll just keep reading what we got here. I'll read some of the ones that I have missed. Okay, for some reason, the last one I am seeing here is Janen's, which, is that how you say your name, Janen, or is it Yanen? Because I've heard it both ways. If X was like Y did something, if X was like Y did something, however, you don't see Y do it, and only have X tell you, then going forward, if X lied, you would be lying by proxy. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's very clumsy. Somebody's not thinking about the rules. Somebody just supported me on Ko-fi. Hurrah! Whoever you were. Okay. I, for some reason, I'm not seeing the most recent messages, so I'm going to go over here and look for it. Let's see. Where was Janen's message? Because that was the last one I just read. I don't know why, but for some reason, my little chat box that I read, it seems to be much further behind all of you guys and your messages. But I got, oh my goodness. Robert Cabus, the whole pushing the women into the river thing. Oh, I've read that already. Let's see. Chris Saunders. Did you catch that Nynaeve knew she could channel in season 1, episode 1? They forgot that her mentor failed to get into the tower because she was poor. Wait, didn't they say that in the... Wait, did you catch it? Nynaeve knew she could channel in season 1, episode 1. Did she? Did she know she could channel? They forgot that her mentor failed to get into the tower because she was poor. I don't know why this is like, I remember this, but I thought it was just a show only thing. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Looks like my other stream bit has caught up. Oh my gosh, what the heck? I'm so sorry. I'm having issues here technically. Okay, I'm just going to go to the top and go down. Chris Saunders. Oh, yes, I just read that one. Okay, good. Phew, caught up again. Dan T says, my unforgivable change was about thinking we want to guess who the dragon is. Quality works can be enjoyed over and over long after the surprise is gone. This is true. And, you know, having a mystery that is, having a mystery that's enjoyable on rewatch is, and, you know, multiple rewatches is very difficult to do. So much of the rest of what you're doing with the story has to be excellent for that to be something that you still like to watch play out again and again. Honestly, I don't think it's not even the drive to see the clues that you missed the first time that makes you want to go back again and again. It's got to be something else. It has to be like, wow, the actor performances are great, or the music's amazing. What they did with this scene was so totally awesome. Chris Saunders, The Assault on the Boar is a short story, not in the books. Okay, I was about to say, I didn't know what the heck you were talking about there. B.R. Geist. As someone who is both an aspiring writer and couldn't stand watching after season 1, I really appreciate your breakdowns and analysis. Thanks so much. You are so very welcome. I try to keep people who aren't watching the show anymore up to date by summarizing every scene. Sometimes I end up just literally repeating every line from a scene. I'm trying not to do that as much, though. Mr. Toniel? Mr. Toniel? Tony Neal. Anyway, the elimination to the waste. The elimination. Oh, you mean when they were walking through and they had their little journey in the book? Yeah, it was very weird. They turned it into like a strange jungle that was kind of mixed up with what do you call it? The Last of Us with the mushrooms. But then the mushrooms never came back. It was like just on the one guy. I thought that was odd. The ultimate flaw in this show, from Robert Cabus, is during the final episode of season 2 when they had Elaine heal Rand rather than Nynaeve. Yeah, but she has inexplicably stopped channeling and they have not addressed it. They've just treated it as if the audience wouldn't notice. She has not channeled at all since going through the arches. And they're like, we're not going to tell anybody. She's going to have to figure out at the beginning of season 3 that she can only channel when she's angry, apparently. Okie Native says, this travesty of a show to sci-fi movies like... Comparing this travesty of a show to sci-fi movies like Two-headed shark attack is insulting to the writers of sci-fi shows. It is kind of. There are a few good ones, like even the ones that were just so cheesy. At least they were consistent in their rules. Dane Bornhall, the final unforgivable sin. Lan doesn't know a poem is about land fear when the first word is literally land fear. Yes. Oh my gosh. I don't know how. How do you get away with that? An unforgivable sin from Shy is this aspiring writer? An unforgivable sin is they didn't make Dane platinum blonde. Is he not platinum blonde? Wait a minute. He is blonde. Is that going to be like a character? Is that like a revelation of some kind? That it's a hint about some secret thing about him? I am Vendel says, Moraine wearing pants, suspenders, and a robe was unforgivable. Robert Jordan gave the graphic novel artist fits making sure Aes Sedai wore dresses. Fits. Okay. Her dress in season 2 was basically the dress that she was supposed to be wearing in season 1. If you think about it practically, that might not have been believable if she was traveling on horseback and camping and stuff all the time, but they show her showing up in the Two Rivers and she checks into an inn. So I don't know if it's obvious in the show that that's what she does, and yet at the same time, they gave her pants. So, oh wait, doesn't she say camping out under the stars at some point when they're going back to Tarvalon? She's like riding with Lan, they're on the horses. I don't remember. Joshua Templeton. The giant strand that Rand sees that nobody else does, as well as the web of black strands that Rand sees, is how he knows who to kill while holding the power. In the show? What are we talking about here? Are you talking about in the show? Because I don't recall this in the show. Yeah, that one's I think you're talking about the book at that point. They do show the dark strands in the show. They haven't really done a whole lot with it. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I've got my chat in the wrong spot. I'm trying to move it. There we go. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and move on to... Actually, I need a break for a second here. We got a 5-minute break, and then we'll come right back. Does that sound good to everybody? Just a quick 5-minute break? We're going to do a 5-minute break. And I'm going to try and catch up in some of these messages, actually, because I don't think I'll be taking a break.
hot stones to keep your bed warm here.
Hot stones?
He's a player. Oh, he's a player. He's a player. What? He's a player.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, I do need sometimes a pause to like get some water and like my voice. I start losing it really quick, especially after doing a whole hogcast before this. But all right, so before I'm going to read the last couple that are addressed to me, but I want to put up what my next topic is going to be, which is for season 3, what should they do to fix some of the things that they screwed up in season 2? What are some things that we think they could do to repair the damage done is what I mean. So I will catch us up now. Dane Bornhold says, Nynaeve equates listening to the wind with channeling. Ergo, Nynaeve should know she can channel. Okay, I don't know. I kind of thought that she figured that's what all wisdoms can do. I don't know. Augustine says, Nynaeve knowing she could channel in the show was indeed a show thing. She didn't equate listening to the wind to channeling. Okay. Perry Wolf says, her mentor not getting into the tower is show only. Yeah, that's what I thought. Nynaeve was taught by another wisdom who had nothing to do with the tower. Yeah, I seem to recall going like, this is an odd thing that they've done. But her backstory, since it was mentioned, actually was Rand's backstory. Very odd. Sir Blaze says, the biggest unforgivable in season 2 is they decided to skip Flicker. Yeah, how are they going to resolve that? Because they have echoes of memory of what happened in those other alternate lives in going forward. Like, I think, is that the explanation for why Matt can speak the old tongue? I'm not sure. Let's see. Skipping forward, a few people have addressed other folks. For some reason, it doesn't highlight when people use my name, and that was the whole point of having people use my tag. Oh, nobody else has said anything to me. Okay. I'll just start reading through a few. Let's pick this one that's nice and long. Chris Saunders says, she said her mentor knew listening to the wind was channeling, so she went to the tower and was rejected. Then Nynaeve teaches Egwene how to listen to the wind, so Nynaeve knows. Yeah, she did say that, didn't she? I remember that now. What the hey? Okay, jumping ahead, we've got from Ryan Horn. The show suffers from two primary problems. One, the showrunner hates the original works from the author. Two, the board of Amazon is more focused on their corporate image of being politically correct. This is a big problem in Hollywood, especially the streaming studios, from what I hear, is that you've got people who are even higher up than the folks who are directly working on the project, whatever it is that they're doing. So like in this case, it would be Wheel of Time. People who are way out of the loop are coming in and saying, you need to do this. And even if everybody else is, I have no idea what the conversations are, but this could be one of them. If everybody else is going, that's not going to work, like it won't really fit in with what we're doing, they'll say, nope, you have to do it anyway. And that's why I think we see some weird things going on. Somebody mentioned to me in a comment that they heard each episode was written right before it was filmed. Like they didn't have the whole thing drafted out. I don't know how true that is. Maybe the final draft of each episode wasn't done before they filmed. Either way, I that just seems like a bad idea, because you could be writing something that's going to screw up stuff later on. And if you don't have somebody who's really on top of all of that and making sure that everything stays, the continuity is still adhered to, it can be big problems. And that might explain why we get some of the kinds of writing that we get. Okay. Skipping ahead. Okay, let's see. Violet Rogers says, I can never hear eagle noises without thinking of this. Yeah, I didn't realize that people like that so much. I'm so glad that you guys enjoy it. I don't know why the eagle noise stuck out to me. Like, this is perfect. And of course, when he looked so bad in Nynaeve's vision, and then turns out that that's what he looked like when he was off duty, I was like, no. He gets a duck then. Stan Sodonan, I'm not sure how to say that. Robert Cabus plus 1,000. Jeff Turner, I love that Sex in the City grab. Oh, yeah. Oh, you guys are talking about my break. Got it. Staple Bow, sorry. Trip, don't worry. He had crazy old man Errol around to teach him sword play. Sir Blaze says, Robert Cabus, tell us all when you work that one out. I'm not sure what the conversation is. This has been happening outside of my loop. Why is my chat not updating the way it should? It's very frustrating. Let's see. Yeah, this is crazy. Why is it not updating? Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. So I have to like click off of it and then click back on. I'm still figuring this out. Oh, wait. Not that one. I have to go back a bit further, it looks like. Slick Jack says, gotta say, I love the interstitial with Lan practicing forms. Oh, I got it. The cutting. What is that word? I've never heard the word interstitial. Sex and the City, watching the tube. Great selection. Yep. Cursed kelp. Honestly, I'm not sure why that scene from Sex and the City isn't a meme. It seems like it would be an obvious one. In the second season of the show, Perrin has a thing for Egwene, while Matt is having the weird relationship with the future sight lady. Love triangles are annoying. They are, and these feel so forced. And okay, it was spoiled to me that Avienda is supposed to end up with Rand, and I'm going, are they going to do the Perrin-Rand lady triangle again? It's going to feel a little repetitive. It's going to be very ridiculous. Because I feel like they're pushing that a little bit. Let's see. Skipping down. Whew. Thank goodness not everybody's tagging me. I would never get through all these. Your interlude reminded me, Lan banging Nynaeve and then dumping her. I yelled at the TV. Yeah, that that was odd for sure. And honestly, like, we're supposed to be like, oh, isn't it so wonderful that they got together? I didn't care that they got together. Like, they did not work. They so did not work. There was no longing for them to be together. Mr. Tony Neal The show transformed Leandrin's character from a deceitful lunatic to a more compassionate individual. Honestly, the stuff that they added with Leandrin, I liked. The only thing I ask myself is, how is this going to affect her role in the future? I didn't mind that she had more dimension to her. But if it's going to cost something later on, like they're going to have her do something that seems out of character now, that's no good. Thanks for all the hard work on this channel from Katya. Thank you so much. Trip says, I honestly can't figure a way they can fix things at this point. Yeah, I can't either. It's so destroyed at this point. Spaced Oyster says, cancel it, obviously. More realistically, probably retcon the first 2 seasons and start over from scratch. That was kind of my thought, was that really you do nothing or just pretend like what you already did didn't happen, because it's so bizarre, the changes that they have made. Robert Cabus, I can't even imagine how they're going to do season 3. None of the characters are in the proper place for book 4, much less book 3. Yeah, it's really, and didn't Rafe say that book 4 is what season 3 is going to be on? What about everything that happened in book 3? Just seems so weird. Save yourself. Wow, $50. Thank you so much. You've been very generous on my live streams. The sin of Wheel of Time and Acolyte, Willow, She-Hulk, etc. are that they are written by talentless hacks who tick boxes and who are arrogant enough to believe they can fix classics. Writers who can't get an original idea launched, so they leech existing IPs. I do think that the whole using somebody else's story to get your name out there, I feel that really strongly, because otherwise, why would you change it? Unless there was like some major reason why you have to compress things or whatever to make them work. But even in that case, you don't make drastic changes like what they're doing in Wheel of Time. Like, these are major changes. Like, they're telling a totally different story in some cases. As far as the, excuse me, written by talentless hacks who tick boxes and who are arrogant enough to believe that they can fix classics. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. My friend over at Netflix was even complaining about that to me, going, I don't understand how people believe that they can do better than the folks who made these and they were successful already. Like, I could just drop an example, like a One Piece. Like, you wouldn't want to change what the original writer did, because he's already proven that he's got a great story people love. Great story, great characters, great tone, everything. Just take what they did that's already a success and do it yourself. And that's what they did, and they got a massive hit out of One Piece. Augustine. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no fixing the show at this point without a full reboot and entirely different showrunners. That might be the case. I don't know if they got a new showrunner. I haven't heard anything about that. Is that even possible? They already had a continuity reset for season 2. Doing it again? Yeah. What does IG mean? For me, I can't really see any other way. They can just keep going the way that they're going, but that just means that it's derailed off of the way that the story is supposed to go even further. They got to do something to bring it back. What else could they do other than pretend that a lot of this stuff didn't happen? Zergy. So, no spaces between the words in that tag, and I will see it. Ave Dementia. Hello. Apologies. I stopped watching after they did Lanfear dirty, so I'm unsure season 3 direction. No, it's okay. I understand. Dane Bornhold, season 3 needs to be all fanfiction episodes. Season 2 had 7 to 8 fanfiction episodes. It wasn't enough. Yeah, season 3, to me, it's really, it's baffling to think how do they plan to start season 3 at book 4 when they have literally skipped an entire novel. I don't understand that at all. Spaced Oyster. Matt can speak the old tongue because it's in his blood. He did it in the first book. Did he? And I forgot? I can't remember. I think I've forgotten. Zergy. Still got the spaces in there, but hello. Jeff Turner. What they should do for season 3 is stop. Just stop. Yeah. I said the same thing when I found out that they're doing a Gollum movie. I was like, no, please don't do this anymore. Sir Blaze, Matt is of the old blood, which helps him speak the old tongue, and yeah, possible that the memories seeped through from the flicker. Mr. Tony Neal, the showrunners have reached a point where there is no way to undo the harm that they have done. Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? I mean, what else? Like, you can start over. You can pretend like season 1 and 2 never happened. The Sword and the Pen reflections from Chris Saunders, reveal that everything since Rand and Moraine went to the Eye of the World was but a dream. I like that. Joshua Templeton, while it can't fix the show, giving Rand, Matt, and Perrin just one accomplishment from the books would help with viewership. I think so. They were separated though, so now how do we bring Matt up to speed? I mean, I guess he kind of was by the end of season 2, like they're all together again, like everybody's where they should be, but I don't even know. Let's see. Sir Blaze, there is little hope that they can fix season 3. There's too much course correction needed and the lore dumping that it'd just not be worth it to get back on track. Yeah, do you think that they're going to finish off season 3 like to the end of the story somehow? I don't think they've started on production on season 4 yet, which is unusual. We would probably hear talk about a season 4 by now because they have finished production on season 3. Tripp says, they just need to be honest and say, this is not Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. It's not another turning, and apologize. Yeah, if it was another turning, wouldn't it still have to follow the same physical laws of the world? That's what my impression was. Chris Saunders, Brandon Sanders said they didn't write the entire season out before shooting. What a mistake. Oh, they actually should have an outline for the entire series. And then for season 1, they should have final draft of every episode done before starting. Like, to me, that just seems so reckless and stupid. I mean, there's going to be problems if you don't have your episodes written out far in advance. Like, you should be like done with your 5th or 6th draft at least on every single episode. Because even when you're shoot episode 1, you're going to have things that go, okay, we weren't able to do this thing. Can we fix it somehow? And then not having anything written going forward just means that you're going to prioritize that fix. You're like, okay, we have to make sure that Rand learns how to channel. So you know what we'll do is in the next episode, we're going to have him go and meet Logain and talk to him about channeling. And they're going to prioritize that too much. And something else is going to get left out. It's like you're asking for problems down the road. Do it all in advance. And then if you have to change something, then you've already got the whole thing mapped out and you can say, okay, we have to fix something that didn't work in episode 1 when we shot it. Is there some place here that we can stick it in? We can make it work. That's a much safer thing to do because then you're not prioritizing the problem. Joshua Templeton says, that is what Sanderson stated about the show's issues writing in short form. So bad. I mean, especially for epic fantasy, where continuity is so important. Zergy, hey, you got it in there. You got the whole thing. The biggest problem with Wheel of Time series is there are things in the book that are completely surreal, and instead of working out how to do it on TV, they remove them. That is a great point. Like the portal stones, that's something that I feel like not doing that. I was wondering, how are you going to get past this? How are you going to do that? Because a lot of important stuff happens in those portal stones, and they become an important part of this whole story. Going into the dream world becomes an important part of this story, and they've just pretended it didn't happen. They've just kind of skipped all of it, and that to me just, I don't understand it, how they're going to fix that. Let's see. Oh, we got another flood in of messages. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, here we go. Niet Zdiek. That sounds like a Russian name. Or at least Russian pronunciation, they still haven't dropped the 5-headed dragon possibility. They alluded to it again in the season 2, episode 8. Yeah, I don't know why they're still holding on to this. Like, I'm wondering if perhaps, because we do know from what we've heard, so there's a fluff in front of my eye, we do know that the showrunner has said that his favorite character is Egwene. and he's made so many changes, giving certain things to other characters. Are we going to see him, or see Rafe, change who the dragon is at the end? Like, well, we're ending the show anyway. I'm just going to say it's this person. You know, it's Egwene, and she's the dragon. I guess that would explain why she beat Ishamael. Let's see. Nope, Trip, that one's not meant for me, sorry. Benjamin McDonald says, Season 3 is supposed to be Book 4, arguably the best book. They have to nail the Aiel, Rand's connection to them, and the world building to make it more epic. At this point, he should be leading armies. It's going to be weird. Like, they're going to start out with him at the head of an army. It'll just have manifested out of nowhere. We're not going to address the whole thing where it's too much for him at first. He's just going to step into the role of leading an army so easily. Bill McAwesome. Season 3, Rand pulls Kalendor, has Sky battle by the end. Let the boys have some moments and parents start making choices. I would like to see them actually do, I think there's a possibility that they could start out the show with Rand getting into the Stone of Tear. Like, start with a quick scene, you know, maybe some epic music over it. You can see that there's been a coordinated effort to, you know, get in there. But then, of course, we miss out on the girls starting their mission to hunt down the Black Aja. Like, I don't know. It'll be weird. Ulbelk? I'm not sure how to say that. I feel like they are setting up a bad conflict between Rand and Perrin, where Perrin falls for all the girls that fall for Rand. I felt the same way. It feels so stupid. I'm sure that that's what they're going to do, and it is such a bad decision. I don't know what they're thinking. I truly have no idea what they're thinking with this one. Let's see. Trip! After some pondering, perhaps they could just take an episode to do an exposition dump and actually explain the show lore they've come up that no one can understand. That might be what they're forced to do. But you know, it's funny because like the stuff that they don't explain, they're leaving it up in the air, and then they are explaining stuff, but then they're breaking those rules that they are explaining, like the whole thing with the collar on the Damane and how Egwene breaks out of it. Like, that did not make any sense. Even my mother, who is not a fantasy fan, does not, you know, pay attention to this kind of stuff. But she goes, "Wait a minute, shouldn't the girl be dying too if she's trying to kill the other girl?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what the rules were." Like she was able to pick up on that. That shouldn't have gone down that way. Arlene M. They ruined Min's character. She's supposed to be with Rand. Yeah, I think that they're going to cut that. But I've only read, like I said, up halfway through book 4. I'm sure she's a much bigger character later on. I mean, it was in her vision that she's supposed to be with him, and she hasn't really been yet. She's kind of been around him, but not with him. So when is that going to play out? When is that going to happen? Ave Dementia says, Rand converts to following Joseph Smith's ideology. Poop, that might be a spoiler. Was Robert Jordan Mormon? I don't know. I have no idea what his faith was. Let's see. Christopher Craig says, Season 3 is really hard. Everyone is in the wrong place. You need Moraine, Rand, Mat, and Aviendha, Perrin, and Elaine, Nynaeve, and Egwene as sets before you can start. Oh, you mean they have to be where they're supposed to be? Yeah, that's why I think we're going to have a time skip between, just like we did for Season 2, there was a time skip, but they're going to have to show what happened, I think, during the time skip at the start of Season 3, because if they don't, we're going to all be like, what who's doing what and why? Like, remember they had Perrin, suddenly he's with the Shinarans? Maybe they're going to do that with the girls. Like, we're not going to see any of the stuff that goes down at the White Tower with them and Suan and, you know, none of that. They'll already be on their mission to hunt down the Black Aja. Maybe. Tiki Dale says, what are they going to do about Rand's sword? Its design in the show was disappointing. So I'm more I mean, I don't know if the Heron-marked sword plays an important role going forward, but the sword of, oh my gosh, what the hell is the name of it again? I've forgotten it. I've forgotten the name of it already. The flaming sword, the sword of light. That sword is, I guarantee, important. I mean, he doesn't set off with it at the beginning of book 4. He leaves it in tier, but I'm sure it's important. Maybe they think that they can have him acquire it after season 3. I don't know. Harok? I'm not sure if I'm saying the name right. Making Rand the lead character, even if the timing is off, might help save the show. It might help a little bit. I don't know if it'll save it. At this point, I really don't think that the show can be saved. No matter what they do, it's going to be awkward and weird. What a gun idea. Let's skip book 3. It's only called The Dragon Reborn, yeah. I wonder if they figured that the battle at the top of the tower in Falm, if that is like, with the dragon, that was definitely he's the dragon there. That's not what the purpose of it was in the book, but maybe they're going to say like, that's the proof that he's the dragon. But then again, Moraine is the one who made the flaming dragon thing. I don't even know. It's nothing like how it was in the book. At this point, I don't know what the point of what she did is. It's weird. Ethan McDonald says, they really should make this next season longer and use the first few episodes to patch mistakes and the rest to progress the story. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to have to do, but I don't think they're going to get more episodes. I think that the first 2 were probably so disappointing, the first 2 seasons. I don't think that they would get approval for more episodes. Pink Peony says, I'm hoping they will make the characters less annoying, but in order to do that, they'd have to be aware of what annoying is. So there's little hope. Yeah, sometimes I think that they think that characters look cool or, really assertive or badass. And really, I just look at them and go like, this person's an a-hole and I don't want them around. I'm thinking specifically of Moraine. You know what? Nynaeve was less obnoxious after she went through the arches, but she was more stupid. So you took away how mean she is, but you made her more stupid. I mean, she was still kind of mean, but she had less opportunity to be mean, so I guess I can't really make that judgment. Stan Sodanon. I don't know how to say your name, and I do apologize. I'm just going to call you Stan. I think they can fix it by skipping books and doing an info dump at the beginning of season 3. Yeah, I think somebody else had that same idea too. Maybe it's a popular one. To quote Kaylee from Firefly, sometimes a thing gets broke, can't be fixed. That is true. That was from Khalees 47. Prototype says, they might just change things even further for season 3 since they're skipping a whole book. It feels like they don't really like the story they have to adapt. I don't know. To me, I do think that they like the books, but I think that they're more excited to do the stuff that they wish the books did, if that makes sense. Robert Cabus. If they were going to cut Gaul from the show, Perrin should have run into Fail rather than Aviendha. Having him meet Aviendha complicates the story. It certainly does, and I think it complicates it in the way that it opens it up for the opportunity of having another love triangle with him and Rand. It's going to create more tension between them. Maybe Perrin and Rand are going to get in a fight, and that's why Perrin's going to leave. Like, he's going to leave to go back to the Two Rivers or whatever because he and Rand have an argument. Which would be, who cares? I don't care if they fight. They were fighting the last time they were talking to each other. They're fighting now. I do not have any investment in their friendship whatsoever. They've been miserable together. We saw them sitting next to each other at the pub in Two Rivers and at the park bench in Two Rivers, and that's it. Other than that, they don't like each other. Let's see. Ethan McDonald says, Matt did speak the old tongue when he let out a war cry. Oh yeah, right before Shai Al Ghul. I remember that. Patrick Marchand says season 3 will be at least 40 episodes long to fit everything in a single season at the rate they are going now. And they say they are compressing the material. Yeah, that's really, I don't know how you can claim to be compressing while at the same time adding so much that isn't even in the books, like not even at all. Stan Sodanon, they don't pre-write the show because they're never sure if it's worth the hassle, if it won't be canceled tomorrow. So season 2 started production. They started filming season 2 before season 1 was even released to the public. And then they did the same thing with season 3. They started filming season 3 before season 2 was out, which is a really dumb idea in my opinion, because that means that you're always going to have a next season filmed and partially paid for, I assume, before you even know if the season before it was any good, like people liked it. Christopher Craig, you realistically need to spend season 3 getting from where they are back to the books. Yeah, but that's harder than following the books. So this showrunner or writer's room can't do it. Yeah, it is going to be harder. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. I can forgive Netflix not showing outlandish fantasy stuff because their budget isn't the best, but Amazon has no excuse. Yeah, the only excuse Amazon has is no experience. Like, Netflix has been doing this for a little while now, but you would think that they would at least be smart enough to bring on people who do know what they're doing. So they bought, I believe, MGM, and I think, what was it? Fallout came from MGM. Basically, it was MGM, but now it's got Amazon's name stamped on it. They should have had this go through them. Like, that's where it should have come from. They should have had those people guiding this project, and I don't think that they did. And I know that the directors and the showrunner or something, they had very little experience before taking on this massively expensive project. Just the fact that so much money was wasted, to me, screams inexperience. And that's just from a business perspective. Like, I'm not a filmmaking expert at all, not by any means. But to me, somebody who knows what they're doing would spend less money on a show. Praterson says, they took basically every moment Rand had in the early books and gave it to the ladies. Yes, they did. And it became something you could not deny by the end of season 2. If anybody was denying it before, it's no more blatant than it is in that episode. Like, that, it's so obvious right there. No one can deny it anymore. Why did they change Matt's character from fan favorite to just being terrible? What's the narrative reason for that? I think they might have wanted to make his need for change something that came from him anyway, but what they failed to recognize is that seeing him fall amplified the danger of the dagger. Like, seeing him as a good person to succumbing to the influence of the dagger showed how powerful this dagger was. But since they didn't have that contrast of a before and after, he basically seemed like the same guy, just more physically unhealthy once he had the dagger. It just made it look like he's the same guy, he's just sick. Like, it didn't make the dagger seem all that bad. So when he's like in season 2 and he's like, oh no, I don't want to touch the dagger, I'm going, why not? It's just going to make you have a little stomach flu, essentially. Throwing up some black sludge. X525 Crossfire says Robert Jordan was Episcopalian, IIRC. I think, is that in real life? I don't know what IIRC means. I'm not in the lingo of the internet, really. I pretend like I am, but I'm not. Rafe Judkins grew up Mormon. Oh, okay. Well, so then who's putting this in there? Because I thought it was a book thing we were talking about. I don't remember what the comment was. Dane Bornhold says, I believe Robert Jordan was Episcopalian. Okay. Wow, I'm so far behind on these comments. How are we doing on time? We've got 6:35 and... Oh, okay. I wanted to go to the next... Okay, so my next question was going to be, what do we think that they will do? I'm just going to put that up there. Goodbye. What do we think they will do in season 3? And this is a very different question from how would they fix it? What should they do? What do we think that they are going to do? Some predictions of what crazy ass thing do we think is going to happen? Let's be specific. We can maybe take this to the bank later. Or I guess to the bookie. Ave Dementia says, Egwene is truly one of the most villainous, not obviously, but Kai-Wyn levels of villainy. Who's Kai-Wyn? Am I brain farting this? I might be. My opinion, there are so many things wrong with her being the dragon. Migraine. I think that them trying to insinuate that she might be the dragon, it would be a big mistake, because then it undermines the prophecy that they've already established would tell, oh, it's definitely going to be a kid who was born on Dragonmount. We met her parents. She was not born on Dragonmount. And if the prophecies are unreliable, how come other prophecies weren't unreliable? I guess that means, why this one? Let's see. Slick Jack says, basically, Bobby Ewing needs to step out of the shower. What the heck am I missing here? I'm missing something. Bobby Ewing needs to step out of the shower. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Orion80 says, start season 3 with Rand having a feverish dream of the first 2 seasons. Then he wakes up back in Emmons Field and start over. I like that. That could probably work, actually. They could do it because, the dream thing. It's like, it'd be sort of like a Last Temptation of Christ type of thing where you've got him like, it was just a dream. I can make totally different choices now. In all honesty, the filming schedule, this is from Augustine, and the amount of money put in and the results genuinely makes me think that the whole production was an embezzlement scheme. I have a theory about that too, especially with this project and Rings of Power. In my opinion, there's no excuse for how expensive these movies were. And actually some other movies, too, like these shows, other movies, stuff that we're seeing coming out of Disney to me makes me think of the modern art market, where you've got a banana taped to a wall and it goes for $2 million. Somebody's laundering money somewhere. I really feel that. That's my conspiracy theory. Hollywood conspiracy theory. It's like the West Coast version of the modern art. Joshua Templeton says, somebody in the FB Wheel of Time, Facebook Wheel of Time, claimed it was announced that season 4 is being written now. Said a writer announced it at Wheel of Time Con. Really? I mean, I'm not surprised. Okay, here's my theory. I think they're going to kill off Moraine and replace her with some other Aes Sedai. I don't know. I heard that she has sold her house in Romania or wherever it was that they were filming, and I can only think that it must be very inconvenient to sell the house, unless she was having money trouble, which she might have been. I don't know. But Crossfire says, Wheel of Time is a co-production with Sony Television. Amazon didn't buy MGM until season 1 was already in the can. Okay, then that would explain. But then they should team up with them. This is one of their most expensive shows. I think it's this, and then Wheel of Time not Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. Rings of Power is number 1, and then I think Wheel of Time comes next. I don't know where Fallout is on that list, or is on that score. Okay, so skipping ahead. Where are we? Okay. I hope I didn't skip any. Praterson says, if I recall correctly. Oh, okay, thank you. Yep, if I recall. Got it. Tiki Dale says, why do you think there is so much disconnect in the writer's room? How are people with little to no writing experience being given responsibility over such big projects? That I have no idea. Maybe that there's somebody has underestimated how difficult it is to actually write something like this, a complete, well-fleshed out, consistent, solid story with great characters. To me, I'm not even in writing for film or TV, but I know that you should have this whole thing. I'm certain you should have the whole thing written before you film. Like, don't write it an episode at a time. And then just an outline, I don't know how detailed their outlines are, but they must be like, these are the things that they talk about in this scene. This character is going to say this. In which case, why don't you just write the whole thing? I don't know. They should be done with like their 5th draft of the whole season before they film episode 1. Niet Zdiek says, they are going to ruin Elaine's character and Avienda's like they did all the rest. No, say it isn't so. Avienda is right on the edge of obnoxious to me. She has to be a little more humble, I think, especially like when we see what her position is in book 4 and how she has to take on this role that she doesn't want, but she kind of submits to it. And Elaine, she's a bit more in the background so far, with the exception of her getting together with Rand. But I hope they don't ruin her character. She's the brightest ray of sunshine so far and really adds some dimension to the kinds of characters in this story. Arlene M., with all the money they have, couldn't they hire more extras? I mean, all of the town's battles and Tar Valon seem empty of people. I thought Tar Valon had quite a few people in it. But that was in season 1, like at the end when the boys were walking through it. I was like, okay, we finally have busy streets. But yeah, I would say I felt like Rings of Power was more guilty of not having enough extras than Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time season 2 was a little better than season 1, if I remember. With the exception of, the battle scenes, the armies, they're too tiny. The Shan-Chan battle was minuscule. They brought back the heroes of the Horn to fight one squad of soldiers, apparently. Sir Blaze says they'll probably do book 3 big moments, but with the ladies doing the work and maybe throw in bits of book 4. Maybe. Robert Cabus says the first 4 episodes of season 3 will focus on Egwene's accepted test and Suwon sending them out to hunt the Black Aja. Sprinkle in, you'll have the boys doing nothing. Yeah. They got to do something with Rand. He has to be in a completely different place at the start of book 4, so season 3. Trevor Lorne. Kai Wynn is a character from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Oh, okay. So I've seen most of Deep Space Nine, but I couldn't get into it. I'm a really big Next Generation fan. Very big. I've seen them all many times. So Q is eternal. Just going to say that. But only the Next Generation version. I did not like what they did with him in Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Cursed Kelpie. What do I think they will do? What do I think they will do? Keep going off track with the story and then trying to fumble their way back to the story in the worst way possible. There's really no good way to fumble your way back on track when you've gone so far off. It's always going to feel terrible. Jarak says the show goes further off the rails. Egwene and Nynaeve Nynaeve ends up as the dragon. They announced the show is canceled due to RW misogynists who hated the showrunner. RW misogynists. I don't know what RW stands. Oh my gosh, I feel like is there a whole nother language I should know? Let's see. Tony Neal. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I have no idea what to expect in season 3, but I won't be tuning in. You probably won't be missing anything, to be honest. Patrick Marchand says Kai Wynn was the spiritual leader of the Bajorans. Oh, in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Okay, I mean, I know who the Bajorans are for sure. She was jealous that the prophets were not speaking to her, so help release the Pa-wraiths. That's a term I don't recognize, unless I'm saying it so wrong. Ave Dementia. My nerdiness showing. Oh, more Kai Wynn is the character in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Daniel Klauser. Tom is coming back in season 3, yes, which could be really cool. I therefore predict that whatever they do to bring him back will not be cool. Nice. I think that might be the most accurate prediction so far. The only thing is his role in he comes back in book 3? 2. It's 2. We get him back in book 2. He has to come back at some point, but I'm not sure that what he has done is enough. I don't think. Because at the start of book 4, he's essentially kind of off-page, sort of helping Rand to influence the nobles. I don't know. I'm not sure that he has a big enough role so far to where I'm at that they would feel like he's important. But maybe that would be exactly why they throw him in there, and then we can waste a bunch of time on him. Bobby Ewing stepped out of the shower at the beginning of a season of Dallas. Okay, yeah, showing that the previous season had all been a dream because he had died. Yeah, I think I actually tried to have that. I tried to include that as a clip in one of my videos. Augustine says season 3 will be when they have Rand torn apart but still alive in spirit and absorbed to cement the multiple dragons notion. Maybe he'll divide up and go into the others. Then you'll have a 4-headed dragon. And maybe Elaine will come in and she'll be the 5th head. Prototype says, movies are totally used to evade taxes. Remember what happened to Coyote versus Acme and Batgirl. I don't know what the details of that are, but I'm not surprised. I know that a failed production is a big tax write-off. Violet Rogers says they fully lean into silliness and absurdity. Matt dreams the whole 2 seasons and wakes up in the back of the wagon at the start of Skyrim. That would be fun. We're gonna cross worlds here. That would be good. Zergi says, can we talk about the moral quandaries of the show versus the book? Perrin's struggle with necessary violence is going to have a whole different conclusion given its TV show or TV origin. Yeah, because he didn't seem to be not hesitant at the end. I mean, he was pretty vengeful to kill Dane Bornhold's dad at the end of season 2 because he killed Hopper. I think the ending of season 1 will haunt them. Massive, this is from Sharon C. Massive ramifications for Nynaeve. Massive removal of people fearing a male wielder versus could be the dragon. Yeah, I don't know about what for Nynaeve, with the exception of her not knowing how to, why she can't channel. But I haven't gotten to if she does anything spectacular at the end of book 4. I haven't gotten there yet. Glue Guns and Roses. Haha, I like your name. I think they will skip the multiple Rand girlfriends. They will put the girls in a relationship instead and make Min date Matt and Rand at the same time. But he's definitely going to be with Elaine. I don't know. Definitely Matt wants to be with Min, but it seems in a casual way. I don't know. Crossfire says, Wheel of Time had a huge advantage over Game of Thrones in the simple fact that they had a complete book series to work with. No excuse not to have a complete roadmap for the series. No kidding. Honestly, it's a real shame that they have not followed the book series more, because this is like a TV showrunner's dream. You've got the whole story. Like we all have seen that people want a good epic fantasy. They really want something like this. There's a market for it. But Game of Thrones failed in that they had no source material to go off of that they knew was going to be good. This was handed to them on a silver platter and they just decided, no. I do not understand it at all. Bill McAwesome says, pretty sure Hollywood is hiring inexperienced writers to save money. All about those quarterly reports. I wouldn't be surprised. I have heard that the talent, like the more senior writers, the experienced writers, are very far spread out and overworked. I know that was something that was complained about during the writer's strikes, if I recall. Crossfire says, Rings of Power was so guilty of not enough extras that they digitally cloned extras in group shots. Not surprised. Benjamin McDonald, how do you balance doing a read and watch approach and knowing spoilers for the book are going to happen? Does that ruin your experience? Not really. So, for me, I haven't read too many spoilers. Most of them, nothing. But when I am reading something casually, if I'm like what I'm doing here, it doesn't seem to affect me. And I think it's probably a product of my editing brain where I do actually get informed of the spoilers. I typically get an outline of what's going to happen in the whole story before I start my developmental edit. And in that way, I just read through it and see that they've got a whole story. There are certain things that I should be looking for to make sure that they're being built up. It makes my first pass much easier if I know where things are going. Like if we have a character who's supposed to be, it's revealed that they are the chosen one at the end, I can keep an eye out for, are these clues leading up to it too obvious or not obvious enough? Like there should be more to it, or maybe there's no clues and I can go, you really should put some clues in here. Otherwise people are going to get to the end and be like, you mean Rand had a secret meeting with his dad that was off screen and we didn't know about what it was? But yeah, for me, the joy is in seeing how things are built up to more. It's been a very long time since I've read anything that surprised me anyway. I always play that game of where do I think this will go? And half the time I guess the exact thing. Like the best thing that I did was, what was that movie with, it came out like last year or the year before, and it was kind of like the Stepford Wives, and it had Chris Pines in it, and they're like in this bubble world and she's like the perfect housewife, and then it ended up being kind of like The Matrix. Like literally within 5 minutes of the movie, I guessed almost exactly what the ending was. I think that there's certain clues that people leave in their stories. I mean, I don't think this, I know this. And I just was able to see where it's going. So it really has been a while since I've been shocked by an ending or like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Like I can't even remember the last time that happened. Not to say like, oh, I'm so good at this. I just mean that it's like, that doesn't happen anyway, even when I haven't had anything spoiled for me. Jeff Turner. Egwene kills Maureen. Egwene kills Rand and takes Calendor. Egwene kills the Forsaken. Egwene kills the Dark Lord. Egwene wins Wheel of Time. I like that. That's a good one. That's probably what'll happen, to be honest. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ave Dementia. $20. What? Why is it so gray in the selected text? I don't know why it's doing that, but you give me $20. Thank you so much. And it says, the next generation for the wind. You just get shunned if you don't at least mention DS9 though. But yes, Picard all the way, and an eagle sound for Dr. Crusher for me. Really? Dr. Crusher? Should she have an eagle sound? I don't know. I just can't think of Beverly without thinking about that horrible ghost romance episode in Ireland, or like the planet that's like Ireland. It's just... Watch that episode again. It's awful. Okay. Robert Cabus. This show has butchered the mentor characters like Tom and Elias. Neither one is remotely close to their book counterparts. Agreed. And they're very okay. Tom less so. I found Tom less annoying. He just was. He was more subdued. I wanted him to be fun and, boisterous like he is in the books, a showman, but then who also has this deep pain in him. But it's not like they changed him completely. With Elias, I felt like they just made him so freaking cynical, and he was very compassionate in the book. I guess not very, but he was pretty compassionate compared to how he is in the show. In the show, I'm like, he doesn't give a shit about people. Excuse the language. I shouldn't have said that. Okay, hang on. I gotta see what time it is. Oh my gosh, we got 6 minutes. Okay, I was going to have a final freestyle chat where you can just talk about anything. I'm just going to read through what I've got as quickly as I can, though. Let's see. Sir Blaze says, Willow TV series was removed from Disney Plus to get tax refunds so they could do something similar for Wheel of Time. Wait, how do you get a tax refund for something that's already put out there? Did they pay for it to be on their own platform? I'm very confused about that. I mean, I understand like if you make something and it's a failure and you don't put it out, that can be a refund because it's like a failed business. But to have it on the platform and then remove it, I don't know if it works the same way. That's an interesting concept. I wonder if that's what I really want to know if that's what the case is. To save the world, sometimes you just gotta chop a life. It's fine, move on, man. Did anyone else notice how hot my best friend's girl is? That's pretty much how it goes, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Oh, the writers would have had a great roadmap to follow if they would have simply read the books to begin with. Yeah, honestly, it's a very hard argument to make. I do think that they love the material, but I think that they were so excited by it and what it inspired them to do. They want to do their own thing. Unfortunately, you're telling two different stories and trying to claim it as one, and it's just not working out. Dane Bornhold says, there are 3 fantasy series that have sold more books than The Wheel of Time. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and A Song of Ice and Fire. And for 10 movies and 5 seasons, those adaptations were pretty good. Yeah, they were. With the exception of the last 2 of A Song of Ice and Fire. Thomas Anomalous, that does not have my tag, but I can't say they were more accurate, but the storytelling and actors were great in my opinion. Here we go, skipping down. Oh my gosh, how am I going to catch up to you guys? Thank goodness not everybody's tagging me. They didn't get a tax refund, says Nietzek. They got a tax write-off for Willow. Okay, what, because it was a failure? It wasn't like they weren't able to complete it, but they that's what I meant. I think I said refund. I meant write-off, not tax refund. That was my bad. Sometimes I just speak before I am able to get the words processed. They just come out. Robert Cabus, sending this before the end of stream to say, thanks for letting us all vent our frustrations with this dumpster fire of a show. Then again, dumpster fires are more interesting to watch, aren't they? But $10, thank you so much, Robert. That seriously, you guys, it really, every dollar helps. And so making generous donations like this, tips, it means so much to me, for real. Sir Blaze. Oh yeah, so we'll see you later, Robert. Sir Blaze says, it was put on the platform for free as it was their own platform, Willow, and Amazon is in a similar experience, though 3 seasons in may be an issue, but yeah. Yeah, I wonder if they have to prove how many people joined, like subscribed in order to watch that particular show. Like, how would they figure that? I wonder if there's a caveat for it. Like, you know, are they allowed to claim that everyone who signed up while the show was putting out episodes, are they allowed to claim that all of them signed up just for this show? I don't know. Jarok says, The Sword in the Pen Reflections. Do you plan on finishing the entire book series? Yes, I do. I'm one of those people who I don't like to start something and not finish it. And I know that my reviews have been coming out slow, but like I said, it's just because I've got so much other stuff going on at the moment. And these videos take so much time to edit. I don't remember what I said last time, but it really is like 2.5 weeks to do one of my reviews. And that's like if I'm working full time. Thomas Anomalous says, sorry, Sword in the Pen. We were talking about the success of Fallout in relation to Wheel of Time and Rings of Power. Oh, no worries. I don't even remember what comment was related to that. Augustine says, if only they just started with a fresh cast and story and borrowed the world and lore as a backdrop. It might still be bad, but not as many people would be angry. That's kind of like, okay, Rings of Power is sort of doing that, except that they do have 3 familiar characters and we do have lore for them. This is what they should be doing. If they want to tell their own story in a world, follow the rules of the world, make sure that anything you mention about what's going on in the world matches any established history for that world, if it's a pre-written world like, you know, Middle Earth, or I still don't know what the name of the Wheel of Time world is called. But yeah, you can do that. You could do so much. You could do like anything, and yet you're choosing to totally manipulate what's already there and piss off all the fans. It seems so obvious that this is a poor choice. Trip says, love you and you do a fantastic job, but get yourself a moderator, producer to help you. My sister has offered to assist me with this. I don't know if she knows even how to do that, but we'll figure something out, I'm thinking. Bill McAwesome says, how are you liking book 4? So far, I'm liking it a lot. Actually, the business of getting into right now, I've got everybody has arrived at Roydion, and I know because I haven't read a whole lot since the last live stream where we talked about this. But getting there to me is a lot more interesting in the book. Like, I had zero interest in what was going on in the Waste or the characters, but the Aiel. But in the book, they've painted such an elaborate picture of what this culture is like, even just the little bits that we've gotten to know. And the fragment we get in the show is just, to me, it felt very generic. So I don't know how they're going to fix that. Am I liking book 4? Yes, I'm liking it a lot. It's probably the best one for me so far, and I'm only halfway in, and I know the ending's supposed to be good. Dane Bornhold says, a lot of shows get signed with 3 seasons under contract as a way to hire a large cast. This is why a lot of shows get canceled after season 3. I heard it was 2 seasons, but I wouldn't be surprised 3. I thought there was a 5-season contract for Wheel of Time. Was it Wheel of Time or Rings of Power? I can't remember which one. Ethan McDonald says, really good stream. You should definitely do more. Keep up the great content. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. I might do the next one be Wheel of Time also, because I was supposed to have my season 2 episode 5 review out, which, by the way, folks, it's for the most part like just a summary of the episode. And I think I explained it at the beginning of that episode. I do, of my review, because they actually did a decent job writing the episode. Like, there weren't a whole lot of things to complain about. All the characters were doing interesting things that were important for their characters. The problem is, I didn't care. I gave no shits about the characters or what was happening in the story. Nothing. So I'm sitting there trying to be enthusiastic about something, and I'm not enthusiastic about it. Not even the good things they're doing. It's very sad. It's probably my most bland review yet, but at least I'll keep people abreast of what happened in the show. So Dane Bornhold says, you averaged 100 viewers. Great stream. Thank you. Sir Blaze, they needed to make the nations distinct and separate in Wheel of Time, including on racial grounds. Having it so cosmopolitan makes it feel a much smaller world. I do see this as a big problem, especially in fantasy where racial origins are important. I think it's a mistake to try to turn us into this, what do you call it? Is it a kaleidoscope that does little... Anyway, turning it into this very colorful world does make it difficult for a viewer to orient themselves, especially if you have people who you are supposed to be able to distinguish by things like their hair color, right? Loyal looks at Rand and says, oh, you're Aiel. And he's like, no, I'm not. But then again, that would have required us to know more about the dragon will be Aiel, or like that, that there's a prophecy about the Aiel and they have a very distinct look and you can't really hide if you're one of them. Like, okay. Truly, it's called Randland. No, not really, is it? It's not. That's a joke. Joshua says, I am just glad I heard you say my name. Most people call me Josha, like Rand's actor. It's Joshua, right? Joshua Templeton? That's not an unusual name to me. I mean, it's an Old Testament name, right? I think it is. Augustine, thank you for slogging through this train wreck of a series, especially for those of us who couldn't tolerate it. Well, you are very welcome, and I'm so grateful for all of the views that you guys give me. Seriously. Oh, we are over time. I'm going to quickly read like just three more, no matter what they are. Chris Saunders says, you are the coolest chapters of the book. Have fun. Oh, I'm at the coolest chapters of the book. I was like, I am? Okay, thank you. I'm excited to get through it. I know my first read through, I got up to Perrin at the Two Rivers. So I'm still catching up to where I was when I first read this. Yet the Zdiek. Roydion, pay close attention and have fun. I will pay close attention. I can tell this is a details kind of situation. There's little things about their culture and history I know that are going to be important. Praterson says, you had no interest? The Isle is the best culture in fantasy. Just give it time. No. I meant in the show. What they presented in the show, I did not have much interest in. It was through the book, I'm very interested in this culture. So for me, the closest that I've had is in The Name of the Wind, which I know he was partially inspired by The Wheel of Time, because obviously he's read it. There was a culture in the second book of The Name of the Wind. And I was kind of reminded of that, and I really enjoyed that culture. So when I'm reading this, I'm going, ooh, I can see where his inspiration came from. So I'm getting some exposure to that. And for me, that's fascinating. What I'm saying is in the show, they gave us so little. I did not personally think that it was enough to intrigue me. I'll have to examine that a little bit more. Like, why was that tiny bit of information that they did give in the show not as interesting or grabby to me as what I get in the book by the time we get to them going to Roydion? Okay, that's it. I'm going to have to call it quits on on the rest of this. But I do want to thank everybody for coming down here and hanging out with me, chatting with me. Thank you to everybody who sent me a tip and a super chat. It really does mean so much. So thank you again. And I want to quickly mention that I'm going to put up a poll for what to do my next quick 24-hour video on. So like when I do a video where I just film it and then put it out within 24 hours of filming it, I want to do a vote on what I should do next. I think I do want to do a Wheel of Time one because I've been neglecting my Wheel of Time audience for a long time. And then after that, we'll do more Rings of Power because I definitely want to do some more Rings of Power because the show's coming out, the season 2, and I intend to watch it even though I have nothing about the trailer looked interesting to me. But anyway, I guess that's it. So, I guess just... like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you are feeling super generous, then please do check out my Patreon or my Ko-fi, or you can hit the money heart thanks button down below. And I will see you in 2 weeks. I guess that's it. Bye.